say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Welcome to Brainstorm.
We have the explicit tag for a reason.
This is a base level argument to a higher level morality.
I get paid to science?
To science as much as one can science.
What the hell was my point?
Trigger warning. The Brainstorm podcast will criticize your most cherished beliefs. We attack nonsense in all its forms and discuss difficult subjects. If you peddle pseudoscience, supernatural woo, or religious dogma, then this is not your safe place. This is the home of hardcore skepticism.
Okay, we're back. I fucking love those songs. Like, I've been listening to those 3 songs almost constantly for the last 5 days.
Sweet. Those were good songs. I like those.
So, we're going to do a what the fuck or WTF segment. This is going to be a new segment we're going to cover. I'm going to have to get everybody to submit their what the fucks, and we will create a buffer for it.
A bumper?
Like,
well, we could even do it just right now.
Yeah. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Okay, there we
now
go.
Now we need is a Gumby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you never need a Gumby.
Nah, probably not.
I'm just kidding, Gumby. We like you.
Somebody
Sometimes.
should just imitate Gumby and then use that one.
Yeah.
I'm an ass.
He kind of talks like
What the fuck?
like that. I don't know.
We'd better let him do it.
Okay.
All right, Renee's story. Enough beating up on Gumby.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is what the fuck is this? I'm not even sure. Once again, it comes from Vice. That's probably pretty much where I get all my interesting stuff
Right,
from.
yeah.
They write some interesting stuff. But this is apparently they had an ad. They did this ad, which then they've since pulled down because it's controversy.
Because what the fuck?
Yeah, because what the fuck? It's basically has 2 hot young teen girls looking like they're about to make out. And, and the headline is, in Canada, lesbians are considered hot. In Saudi Arabia, if you're a lesbian, you die. Why are we getting our oil from countries that don't think lesbians are hot?
Question mark, exclamation mark.
Yeah. Choose equality. Choose Canadian oil.
Oh, Jesus, eh? What the fuck?
What the fuck? And then at the bottom of it says, like us on Facebook. Help us reach 100,000 likes.
Thank you, Alberta. Thank you very much.
And thank you to the Canada oil sands community
Yes.
who are responsible for
because
this.
Absolutely.
this is an offshoot of the I love oil sands
Right.
ad campaign. Like during I think it was during the Canadian election that just happened. There was a lot of pictures of various Alberta MPs in the I love oil sands swag, and this is actually an offshoot of this.
Okay.
So originally, apparently, I should have made better notes than I actually did. But I guess this came up with a guy who is actually himself. He's a gay Métis man that worked in Fort Mac, who came up with this idea.
Oh.
And it's, to me, it's stupid because it's just such a blatantly knuckle dragging Alberta thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Hey, what'll get everyone's attention? Lesbians, because lesbians are hot.
Pretty much.
And
much.
so of course they tie it into this
Exactly
idea
right.
of ethical oil, which supposedly is the Alberta tar sands, which is kind of a weird stretch, but this is what the ad is because it's to drive this idea that we should be instead of because they import a lot of oil from Saudi Arabia out east and refine it, whereas we have out west we have a lot of drillers and a lot of people in Fort Mac currently, because of the oil, because of the slump, are out of work. So there's all these ad campaigns trying to drive to buy Canadian oil to get these people back to work. And this is just the end result of this, just the stupidest ad campaign ever.
When I first saw the image, I looked at it for quite a while, just like no. Like, let me finish. Just
Phrasing. Okay.
Yeah, just trying to process what the fuck, like what is happening, and part of me was, well, people can hate or love the oil sands. I mean, that was not my main issue. I was like, okay, fine, oil sands, that's a separate issue, but trying to make it sort of a like social justice or human rights thing, and I would still be okay with that. I would, if the ad, I was thinking, if the ad was phrased differently, I would sort of maybe support the ad if they said something like, let's not import oil from a country that doesn't have human rights.
Right.
You know, I would and phrase it in that kind of way. I would be fine with it, because I don't think we should be buying oil from a country that kills people for being gay. So
right.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, there's part of this where you kind of go, okay, you've got a point. Like, I mean, you do have a point. Like, they also, in the article, they bring up Venezuela, which there's a lot of oil gets imported from Venezuela, and they have pretty shitty human rights in Venezuela. But this whole idea of wrapping the Canadian oil industry as ethical oil, I mean, true, they even make a joke in it where it's like, you know, we can make fun of Stephen Harper and we're not going to get kneecapped. You know,
well, but even the ethical oil idea it's just a marketing idea.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's all, this is all marketing. Marketing.
But it's also beyond like ethical oil. I mean, I don't think that's maybe that much of a thing necessarily, but it's more of, we shouldn't be buying anything from countries that are not that don't treat their people like humans. Yeah. So, I mean, just Canada treats their people sort of like humans, and some countries do not. So it doesn't necessarily make our oil ethical or clean or better than any other oil. No. Like, the oil itself is oil. Yeah. But
how you treat your oil doesn't necessarily is
ethical or unethical. It's how you treat your people.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about diamonds, the way they get them in Africa is slightly different than the way they get them in northern Canada. Yeah. So, I mean,
that's just it. Is there is that thing about blood diamonds, like what they bring up in the article here, and like I said, they quickly pulled the ad. There was apologies, all this. Like, it was a stupid ad. It was just stupid. But what it does bring up some interesting ideas is that, what's this idea about ethical oil? Because, yes, Saudi Arabia, terrible human rights record. But they also have a lot of oil, and it's cheap. And the cheapness of the oil is because of just the nature of how they get oil in Saudi Arabia, because the oil is so close to the surface, it's cheap for them to extract.
Yeah.
They have so much of it, it's just cheap.
Yeah.
Whereas the problem with the West versus East when it comes to oil, which has been a long history in Canada, because the National Energy Program of Trudeau is one of the reasons why Justin is fucking hated in Alberta, is because his dad created the National Energy Program because of issues over oil, because of the 1973 oil crisis and the various spikes and the collapse in the 80s of the oil, But this idea of Canada's oil being ethical, even though the push is for tar sands, which has been marketed, well, there's been a lot of controversy over it because, well, it's dirty oil. It takes a lot of energy to extract it. There's the tailings ponds, like the pollution. Mm-hmm. In the article, they also bring up the fact that a lot of, like, the Fort Mac is on, well, disputed First Nations land.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So, I mean, when you start saying it's ethical oil,
you start ignoring a few factors.
You're getting yourself in your own quagmire. Like, true, we don't execute homosexuals and, and things like that, but it's not totally clean either. It's not, you know.
Just because there's two girls that can make out on a poster.
Yeah, and
I think that's totally justified. I think if we can get two girls to make out on a poster, we should pump oil from wherever they are.
For sure.
Like that.
Sure.
I think that's how it works.
That's fair, right?
I think
You
that's
think
how
so?
our public policy should be directed.
Yeah.
Everywhere that you can get girls to make out on a poster, you do things based on it.
Whatever they
That's-
want.
But they pour a little damper on the article on that too, is because not all lesbians are considered are
That's right.
hot.
The ones
Quote,
that,
unquote,
that
hot, yeah.
self-identify as gay or bisexual aren't what the world would consider.
But I was also joking what I just said.
Obviously.
Please let's not take us seriously.
You were? I know.
Yes.
Isn't it funny how there's like an inadvertent leftist argument in their ad that they don't really think about? Like the idea that we have to have ethical trade practice. Because how many of these oil workers actually think that that's like in all affairs, not just oil.
No,
I mean,
mostly-
we need ethical clothing. We need ethical food production. They
They
don't.
care about this
Well-
when it suits them.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're pandering to, and this is not just with this new photo, but whenever like the oil sands, they've been trying to market them as clean oil. I mean, because they are pandering to the left to let them do it.
Yes.
So I mean, not that they actually care about it, but they're still trying to convince the people that do care, like, look, this is clean, this is ethical, this is whatever. So
Yeah.
I think that's why they do it.
Well, it's also to push, like, I mean, there's various links in the article to other things that I went down the rabbit hole and read, like,
Yeah.
they were talking about the Energy East pipeline because there's a lot of push to get that done so that the oil from Alberta isn't just going straight to the States, it's also going out east so they can refine it because a lot of the refineries are out east, and then that way they can get it to market in Europe or the Western Pipeline. I can't remember what it's called, but so they can get the oil to market to China. You know, it's all to create so we're not just strictly pumping it to the States, because this slump that has happened is part and parcel because the Americans in the last few years have developed their own, and they've gone full bore with fracking, and they've created their own, where they were slumping in production. They're at bursting, which is why the oil prices have collapsed. So I mean, it's all to generate jobs, which isn't a bad thing on itself. It's just once again, this ad is just done such a knuckle dragging way.
There's a very good reason why the article ended up in the what the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, because there's just so much of it that you just go,
So appropriate.
fuck, what the fuck were you thinking? What the fuck were you doing? Why are you doing this?
I don't think they were thinking.
No. Well, I mean, one of the comments one of the things in the article that was kind of funny was that part of the reason they pulled it down was obviously they got a lot of backlash. But of course they had there was a couple guys, like there was one in the article they mentioned some commenter, he says he's a part-time drinker. But his
As opposed to those of us who are full-time drinkers.
yeah.
Here.
And he said something along the lines of he's offended by people that don't find those hot lesbians hot. I was like,
Oh.
like, yeah, let's bring out the knuckle draggers.
So by that not logic, we should have a couple hot dudes making out. And,
Well, yeah.
And,
No, that's
Yes.
right.
and
Yeah.
I mean, those dudes would be really hot too.
Can we have that?
Yeah, well, I mean, if hot dudes are making out and it's hot, and
Equal opportunity hotness, making out.
Drill, baby, drill.
But no,
we just keep coming up with new opportunities to name this episode.
Drill, baby, drill.
Oh, geez.
I don't think that's quite what Sarah Palin had in mind.
Maybe
Well,
not.
we should suggest that to him.
We should. That's right. That sounds suitable.
She reads all the newspapers.
And I'm sure she listens to this show.
Yes, well, she should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She might learn a thing or two.
If it's possible.
She already knows so much.
Brain
All right.
bursting at the seams.
I don't know if there's anything more to say about this other than
I think we're
what
good.
the fuck.
Yeah, what the fuck indeed. Let's hit that religious nuttery bumper.
Cornerstone, this might be new to some of you. Scripture says that even our righteous deeds are as filthy rags to God. So even the good things that you do, even things like feeding the hungry and clothing the poor and taking in widows and orphans, as nice as those things are, if not done from the place of obedience to and a relationship with God, are completely worthless and disgusting to God. If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
Yeah.
Still pisses you off?
Still pisses me off every time. I don't know if that'll ever change. Okay. So this article is from The Friendly Atheist at pathos.com. Christian group furious that Hilton Hotel advertisement features 2 men in bed.
Well, here's our equal opportunity.
This is our equal opportunity.
Yeah, here's our equal opportunity.
Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah. So this ad, it appears to be just 2 guys in bed laying there, and it says, "Stop clicking around. Now book at thehilton.com to get the lowest price." So it basically treats a gay couple as though it's a normal couple, which is fine, which is normal.
Which is kind of what they are. Yeah.
Which is normal.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. But the American Family Association is pissed off because Travel and Leisure isn't a gay-specific magazine sent directly to homosexual homes. It is widely distributed mainstream publication that can be found in many public places, such as doctors, I assume offices,
Yep.
or auto repair waiting rooms.
That's a little clunky. I would have edited that a bit so that they could convey that point better.
If Hilton had advertised 2 men playing tennis, cards, or having lunch, that would have seemed reasonable. However, Hilton chose to make a cultural and social statement by purpose. That's the problem, right?
But
it isn't a social statement. It's just 2 people who are in bed together.
I would just like to say that if the family organization had just shut up, that would also have been reasonable.
That would have been
That would have been way
reasonable.
more reasonable.
That would have been dope.
Dope.
Hell yeah.
But then again, aren't they also the same? Like, this is the same group that raised all that hell over
Target.
Well, that was the bathroom issue. But there was another ad campaign where they had, I think it was 2 women, and they lost their shit over it.
Yep.
Was it a Starbucks?
Was that Target over the same thing?
See, because the thing
I thought
is,
Target was all about the gender neutral bathrooms or something.
These advertising companies keep acting as though this is not out of the ordinary. People in love, or people who are couples, or are couples, whether they're same sex or different sexes or whatever.
Yes.
And apparently this is not okay with Christians.
No.
And they should stop posting those icky advertisements.
Those icky advertisements, that's right.
Isn't
All
it-
these people loving each other and
what
being
is this shit?
people. I don't agree.
Like they're afraid that seeing gay people is going to make them gay or make their children gay.
That's the thing.
You know,
they don't have
they're
a
so
fucking
afraid of
clue.
that.
So what they're supposed to show is a true Christian family where they're lying in bed with like barely veiled contempt for each other.
Yeah.
And
He's on
both
his
reading their
phone.
Bibles.
Yeah.
How do you
He's
portray
on his
barely
phone.
veiled contempt in
they're-
a picture ad?
Actually, they're correct that they're in twin beds on either side of the room.
Oh yeah.
She's got
Glaring
her,
at each other.
neck high dressing gown on. Yeah, they're not even. She's sleeping.
and with a shark tank in the middle, like an open. Yeah.
With a fin sticking out. Nah.
Nah.
Well, isn't the thing that the only reason why it's a social statement is because we still have people who think that it's not okay?
That's right.
Like otherwise it wouldn't be. It would just be a normal. Just hey,
Well,
here's
that's
an ad.
just it. Is
Yeah.
because it's normalizing these things, which
Exactly.
oh my god,
Normal things are normal.
yeah.
Yeah.
To quote our prime minister,
It's
It's fucking
It's
2016.
2016. Cue Thug Life music.
But then again, I mean, we still
Yes.
have issues. Like, I mean, there was that commercial where they had the mixed race kid, and it fucking people lost their shit over it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
because for some reason that's a thing that matters.
yeah, that's all. That hasn't only been happening for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Thousands of years, whatever.
It just,
But-
I don't know. I do not know.
It's fucking bullshit. It's funny how they just are all.
But then again, there's all these groups like what was it, the Million Mom March that has like 1,000 members. You know, like they raise shit over this all the time, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Please shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's
It's what they
it's like.
do. They think that they're doing people a service by calling out these groups.
Okay, so the AFA is urging people to sign their petition telling Hilton Worldwide to market responsibly, which is apparently, according to Friendly Atheist, which is just Christianese. That's a new term.
Christianese.
For can we please pretend gay couples don't exist, which is what they want. Yeah.
I would.
But-
we should also invite them to start to grammar.
Yes. Yes. Well, there's that.
well, translating it, so they're not using as many these and thous. That's what's confusing them. They're still stuck in the old Bible ways.
Well, I got a pretty modern translation of the Bible called The Message, and it was pretty badass.
Does it start off with yo?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
But
Did it call you dude?
I think I still have it somewhere. Do you want it?
Oh wait, dude isn't badass anymore, is it?
Dude. I still say dude. I call my daughter dude.
Don't call me dude.
Once they start referring to Jesus as yo, this dude is the shit or something like that, that'd be a nice.
It's starting to
Bible
get
have.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ebonics translation of the Bible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good stuff.
I thought this was a good contrast to the story about the lesbians being used as a marketing tool for ethical oil, and
yet for some reason the Christians have not jumped on that to denounce. Oh, you should the damn oil sands
because being anti-Muslim
is more important. And also, I think if they had used gay men, I think that would have made a difference. And that's another thing going back to the very misogynistic, very one-sided view of what's
that's
good and what's
just
not.
it. It's
because the women are sex objects, not
Well,
and men are not. It's not cool if they cuddle.
Lesbian sex.
No, that's right.
Lesbian sex is always hot. Gay sex between dudes is always icky. That's
right.
Yeah.
That's the way the world works.
Because every guy wants two chicks at the same time. And see, yes. So when
I actually
in Game
heard
of Thrones, when Daenerys and that girl, what's her name? Theon's sister. When
Yara?
When they were like, do you want to team up? And she was like, "Kate." And then the meme came out with Mike Tyson holding them, saying, "Now Kith." And See?
But which then they forget the whole Renly and the Night of Flowers.
Exactly.
They just conveniently forget that.
Exactly.
But I actually heard, I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard it described as why lesbian sex is more acceptable than
what was the
gay
explanation? Do we have time to talk about this, Corey?
We're totally sidetracking things. We're totally fucking sidetracking things.
we got
Should we add
about
this to our bonus content?
4 minutes, 5 minutes we can spend on.
Okay, quickly describe it, because lesbian sex is always described and usually shot on porn as sensual, where gay sex is usually rough and pounding, and that's where that's the description I've heard as to why
that right?
one is acceptable and the other is always seen as icky.
So lesbian sex is usually soft and
yeah.
oh.
That is the explanation someone tried to give for it. Like,
Nope.
I don't think that's I wouldn't buy into that just yet.
no,
I'm
not saying that's the answer,
Yeah.
but that's the description
I think people think like female nudity is like because there's so much more boob all the time than there is penis. I think traditionally speaking, the female
Seinfeld
form
said it best. Naked women are attractive. Naked men are ugly. We do not look good without our clothes on.
Yeah, shit just kind of dangled all over the place.
but I disagree with that. But I am not the norm, I guess. But anyways,
You can tell that it's a podcast with like heterosexual men.
Yeah.
As the majority group here.
4 and 1 woman. But the female form has been more acceptable. Like there's so many more, it seems, female naked people in art and stuff. It just seems more normalized.
It's interesting too because it's also so much more shamed when an individual woman does something like show her body. Like
it's both revered and shamed, almost simultaneously
it's like,
sometimes.
Like if it's in classical art, that's one thing. But if you just feel like going topless at a park,
then it's shame.
It's shame.
Yeah, because
you're cheapening yourself, and that's the whole male. It's like a male dominated thing. Because you have to protect yourself for a guy,
and that's I think that's going back to the being sex symbols of sort or being objectified. Right. And I think there's bits of most things that we've said, like they kind of come together and create the thing that we have. Like,
right.
it's not there's not one answer because of this. It's like that.
I'd like to look into that.
It's all of it.
Yeah.
I'd like to look into that.
But I always thought the answer was objectifying everybody. Yeah. Just everybody's a sex object.
I like to look at guys who are jogging through the park and be like, I'm objectifying you. They have no idea.
Good work.
I totally objectify them.
I encourage that behavior.
I can't really argue with it.
But there was a video of a woman interviewing dudes with no shirts on. They were like, she kept asking them, so how do you feel you're being objectified right now? And they were just completely oblivious.
Yeah.
She was kind of talking to them as though they were like women with no shirts on, but they were dudes.
They just couldn't grasp the idea.
Not because dudes used to wear swimming gear as modest as women, up to the neck.
True.
Usually striped.
Somewhere along the line,
prison garb
somewhere the
style.
culture changed.
Yeah.
That might be something that's worth looking into.
I'd like to look into that.
When did the culture change?
But, that to bring us to kind of try to jam it back on track, that kind of brings us to this is...
You want to jam it?
Phrasing. Damn it. Phrasing.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, totally just ran off the track again.
Drilling?
But anyway, to try to bring it back to this is that, you know what? It's about that normalization, right? Like, I mean, at one point, men had to be just as covered as women, but now it's been changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just like, the whole closeted, homosexual, it's now being used in advertising. It's becoming normalized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's still people obviously still dragging their heels, dragging their knuckles, dragging, everything. But
there's still old ladies that like to switch over the Shape magazines in the grocery store and like switch them around so you can't see the abdomen, the bare abdomens of the ladies.
Is that right?
In the grocery aisle.
That's just
lineup.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/Brainstorm Podcast Gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
We are given one life, full of billions of small and large decisions. To be somebody, to change, to be kind, to give hope, to become a better person, and to leave a lasting impact on this planet. It is a decision to be made every single day while your heart is still beating. We've made our decision. Absence of Clothing, atheist and science-based apparel and merchandise, donating 50% of our profits to charity. Look good and feel good, without God. Check us out at absenceofclothing.com and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest for discount codes and other sweet swag.
Use the code BRAINSTORM at absenceofclothing.com and get 10% off.
Hi, this is Trav Mamone of the By Any Means podcast. The By Any Means podcast is a weekly show where I interview guests about the intersections of social justice and humanism. Just go to www.byanymeans.com, that's by spelled B-I, to hear the podcast and read the blog. Because, hey, aren't we all a little bi-curious?
All right. We have another religious nuttery story. Leo, what do you got for us?
All right. So I tried doing some research on this. The original article that I saw was from The Guardian, but looking it up, I could only find slightly different variations of the same article.
Oh.
A lot of plagiarism out there, buddies.
Wow.
So I think The Guardian was the original one. But they were pretty much, I couldn't really find any backstory or different versions of the story, but basically it's a prophet, quote unquote, named Shamiso Kanyama. So from a small town in Zimbabwe, he had himself buried alive by his followers, and in order to reach out to the spirit world to heal sick people in town. So there had been people dying of mysterious causes, and so he convinced his followers and said that, you know, if I bury myself, I will be able to reach out, and then I will resurrect again, come back to life. And 5 people of his family are now charged with his murder. So he did not resurrect. So I am not really sure. I'm not going to make fun of him, but I found it interesting, well, that you have a prophet who thinks he will resurrect if he is buried, and then it does not happen. So I found myself sort of admiring and also pitying the deep faith of this dude, that you know, that he actually thought that he could do it. But yeah, so that's the story.
It's kind of sobering. I mean, we keep, yeah.
Yes, someone died because they believed that this thing.
It's probably not the first time.
No, I doubt it is, actually.
Doubt it'll be the last time.
Yeah.
And silence fills the room.
That sucks.
So
Does
the
anyone
smart
have
ass
a good
remarks.
joke?
Come on, guys.
See, the problem is I actually
David?
have a cartoon going through my head about this. Like, it's an old Garfield cartoon where it's like, you know, shows the guy reading the paper and goes, "Did you hear about this guy? He thought he was Superman. He went to jump off a building. It didn't work." And then it has Garfield with his blanket on and going, just because he didn't believe enough and he's running off the countertop. That's kind of what I'm thinking this is. It's like he just didn't believe enough or something.
Yeah, and I found it interesting. I mean, you have it was kind of a sobering article to read, where, like I said, I found it interesting, but also sort of pitying. I was thinking, well, there are people out there who do extreme things with the actual conviction that it is the right thing.
Right.
And so doing the wrong things, but being fully convinced that it is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But isn't it similar to people that have, instead of seeking medical help, they just, went for prayers for their
it's similar.
dying
It's the same
child.
mentality in a sense, right? Their faith is gonna do what they think it should.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is true, but there is slightly less risk when you have some sort of illness and okay, I will pray for it and then it'll go away, as opposed to I will have people kill me and then I will rise up from my grave, where you are facing the end right there. You have a lot of faith that you can actually do this.
Last time I saw that was Gary Oldman in Dracula. I will rise up.
You have to wonder, his last minutes, as the oxygen was waning a bit, that, you have to wonder, where was his mind at?
Apparently, if you look at the bottom of the article, apparently he was as they're filling the grave, he was like, "No, keep it coming, keep it coming."
And there's a part where I think it says father speaks out. He tried to convince the people not to do it, and then he was saying no, you're disturbing my angels. Don't try to put doubt in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And
so, what do you think? Should these people be charged?
Well, the thing is, I think they should be charged. I mean, that's kind of how it works. You have people doing things under a delusion or because somebody else told them something. I mean, it's
still wrong.
It's kind of, you still bear the consequences of your actions. But it immediately reminded me of like Jonestown. That was the
and drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Just where you have, I mean, this guy could have potentially convinced a whole bunch of people, we should all bury ourselves or something.
And we'll all be raised up. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and the article did not specify what kind of religious belief it was. It kind of makes it sound sort of Christian-y, but it does not specify. I couldn't.
Well, scanning the article, what I got is it's probably Christian, but like a lot of that in Africa, it's gonna be amalgamation,
right?
Sort of
it's mixed with the local. Yeah,
it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of the sense that I got, but it does. So we shouldn't be blaming it on Christian because the article didn't say what it was. They just called him the prophet of something.
Right.
So
it's whatever their belief system happens to be.
But nonetheless, it is still religious nuttery.
I think
definitely.
that still counts.
Yeah, it still counts.
Yeah. That's fucked up.
Bury me and I will come back. Oops.
Where's our drill baby drill joke? Come on, guys.
I think we already used that up. Yeah. We already used those up.
Did that run its course already?
Damn it.
Maybe.
Oh, it'll be back. It'll be back.
Yeah.
Just don't force it.
No. Got to give it
Let it be
appropriate
organic.
time. It's got to be in the incubator for a little while.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go to our Skepticism 101, which we still don't have a bumper for. This is our 10th logical fallacy. Circular cause and consequence, where the consequence of a phenomenon is claimed to be the root cause. I've got a wiki link which sends you to the correlation does not imply causation. So they're linked in some way. And then I found a YouTube link which explained it pretty well. There was an example within the video that said so-and-so believes that melting ice cream causes, or the heat causes the ice cream to melt, and the ice cream melting causes it to be hot. Therefore, you have both causing each other.
Oh.
I'm kind of confused on that one, but okay.
Yes, well, because it doesn't make sense, right?
Oh, okay. So I'm properly confused. Okay.
So it's not just me.
No.
I'm honestly confused, not just stupid. Okay.
You're not stupid.
No, you're
right?
legitimately confused about a thing that doesn't make sense. A circular cause and consequence is a specific aspect of the correlation doesn't equal causation error, where someone actually thinks that A causes B to happen, and then in turn B causes A to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be cases of this being true. I can't rule that out necessarily. I don't know all the cases of all things in the entire universe. But most of the things that I can come up with off the top of my head lead to like a circular, nothing ever changes. Like say, there was one example in the video again of evil comes from darkness. Evil causes darkness type circle.
Okay.
And in that sense, you would never have any light, right? Like that's clearly not reasonable to think.
And the one thing that popped into my mind when I saw this fallacy is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like this is one that is sort of loosely used, sort of used in when talking about race. Like in the U.S., like when they talk about black neighborhoods, like the way the different political parties talk about race, of living in poor neighborhoods, being poor, and how that kind of perpetuates, and what they claim is the cause of why, black people are living in poor neighborhoods more so than white people. I feel like that this fallacy, in a sense, that just popped into my head when I saw this. I'm like, it seems like they're sort of using that fallacy of what causes what, and kind of going in circles.
Almost like the fact that people are black makes them act in a way that keeps them poor.
Well,
and the fact that they keep them and being poor is something that comes from being black. And in a sense it feeds itself, right?
Kind of the rhetoric that comes out of it. I feel like a lot of it is kind of woven into this fallacy.
Right. Yeah. Which is it is a fallacy because being black doesn't cause behavior that causes one to be poor, right? So then you can see where the cycle breaks,
and more so what I was thinking of. Especially on the right, they will often say, well, you have these welfare programs, and then people get lazy, and then they don't, and then they use more welfare, and so you're saying that the welfare program is keeping people poor,
right?
Because they get lazy. So which I would say is the fallacy, because that's not really how it happens, but that's kind of the rhetoric that you get. So,
right, that's actually a good real world example. I think that's a good example. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Unlike the ice cream ones and the darkness that was in the video that I watched.
You did better.
You did better. Good work.
I did gooder.
You did gooder. So I think we covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
That was probably one of our better.
Made a little bit more sense than usual.
We actually examined that a little bit. Sometimes we just listen to Corey talk about what he read in Wikipedia.
Just read the first 2 sentences of Wikipedia.
Okay. Let's do some atheism for dummies. I think we have a bumper.
If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
Oh, you're barking up the wrong tree, Meg. I'm an atheist.
I suspect that the Pope is an atheist.
I don't believe in God.
Okay, so this is our third segment of apologetics, and it's based on the defense of miracles. My first note on this is, you ever get started looking on Wikipedia and find out that you could follow the breadcrumbs for a full month without ever actually getting into the root of the subject?
So true.
Like, I could sit there and read about miracles and the arguments against miracles and the arguments for miracles forever on Wikipedia. Like, it just never fucking ends.
Nope.
We need some authoritative figure with a weird hat who tells us all the answers. I think that's what we need.
Yeah, that's right.
An atheist pope.
With a better hat.
With a better hat.
The better the hat, the more authoritative.
Yeah.
I think it's bigger the hat.
Is it bigger?
Yes.
Maybe,
Shaped
yeah.
like an A.
Yeah.
And has this squiggly
But-
thing. And
Isn't that the book by P.Z. Myers where he talks about the hats?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Love that bit.
Yeah.
Keep going. Sorry,
That's-
that was
no, no.
I derailed.
That's a good book. That's right. I'm not always a fan of P.C. Myers, but that's a good book.
I love that little sound clip of the hat story.
That's right.
that's awesome.
Anyway, so we've got a couple links that I'll be posting, and I'm going to read a couple definitions. A miracle is an event not explicable by natural or scientific laws, such as such an event may be attributed to a supernatural being, aka a deity, magic, a miracle worker, a saint, or a religious leader. That's the formal definition.
Okay.
Informally, the word miracle is often used to characterize any beneficial event that is statistically unlikely but not contrary to the laws of nature, such as surviving a natural disaster or a wonderful occurrence, regardless of the likelihood, such as the birth of a child.
Can we
Not to be confused with.
Can we address the first couple
Yeah.
before we go too far
Let's do it.
down the list? That first one is really stupid.
Surviving a natural.
I'm done. No, I'm kidding.
Agreed.
The first one, I mean, you had an event that can't be explained by scientific or natural.
Right.
Well, that by that definition, the sun would have been a miracle at some point.
Right.
Or anything that once was unexplainable that we could not yet explain. And the list is endless. Would have been considered a miracle by that definition.
And then as knowledge grows,
Yeah, it's not a miracle anymore.
The number of miracles diminishes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That definition is stupid.
Although at one point, depends. Like, I mean, with this is strictly in the realm of like probably Christianity. I'm assuming when they're talking miracles.
Well,
Yes.
because
yeah,
at one
sort
point
of.
the sun was explained by Horus writing it. Or I can't remember the mythology, but
I think of because it says a miracle is an event not explicable by natural or scientific laws, and ultimately, I think that rules out absolutely every fucking event.
Well, see, and that's where it becomes so ridiculous because at one point, people would have legitimately swore there is no way we can explain the sun. The sun
Right.
must be a miracle, and then all of a sudden, we can explain it. Oh, sorry, we were wrong. It is not a
It's
miracle.
not a miracle.
And so
X.
at that point, everything just be pretty much anything that is unknown or unexplainable yet is a miracle. So it's basically just instead of calling it miracle, you just call it the unknown.
Right. Yeah.
Like
but
unknowns.
at one point, everything that was unknown was
Yeah, and that's sort of a descriptive thing. It was that way, but it's still by definition it is miracles are nothing. because they are just
Well,
things
I
that we
think-
don't yet know.
Wow. If they're just trying to describe it scientifically or can't be described scientifically, I think they're probably referring to stuff like parting of the Red Seas and, that kind of shit.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Although I have watched
Turning
stuff.
water into wine.
But I contend that miracles just don't exist. Because
Which is totally reasonable. But you
Because-
know what? Festivus miracles exist. Festivus miracles are...
Cognitive dissonance.
No,
At
Festivus
its
miracles
finest.
are an ordinary thing that happens. It's a Festivus miracle that we're here recording a podcast.
I'm here because I drove here in my car.
It's a Festivus miracle! That's what that is.
Yes. So I contend that miracles don't exist because everything fits into some natural explanation
Of cause and effect.
Yeah.
People have open heart surgery and then it's considered a miracle, but the surgeon actually had a hand in that, literally.
Yeah, it's a miracle that
had
that
problem-
surgeon
Had more than one hand in
worked.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, two hands involved.
Yeah. And a scalpel, maybe.
Although one-handed would be pretty fucking impressive.
That might be considered a miracle.
David looks like he's going to say something.
Okay, so my issue genuinely becomes when people start using it in an informal fashion about everything.
Yeah.
Like,
found my keys. It's a miracle.
Right.
It's a miracle.
Or even something like, oh well, my house survived while my neighbor's house got wrecked.
What are you going to say,
What do you got, Dave?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Put the mic to your
I was going to
mouth.
say if you pray to St. Anthony, it is a miracle. So that's what Mom told me.
I think we may have covered this before.
When you find things.
When you find things.
I was raised
bonus
Protestant.
content.
I'm
That's
like
a
a
bonus-
heathen bastard, so I know nothing of the saints.
He's the patron saint of lost things.
Yes, we covered that in a bonus content.
We did.
Yeah. Oh, that was bonus content?
That's what's
So,
on.
regular listeners, are we not supposed to talk about that? in
So
the
every
regular
time you find
podcast?
something, it's
We can
kind of
talk about it.
miraculous because
Okay.
he made you find it.
Thanks.
No, he interceded on your behalf to
Oh,
God.
he was
so you
like,
could find
"Hey,
those
God."
He can't make me do damn shit.
No.
No, but he just finds shit.
He just puts it where you can find it
Yes, that's right.
because it wasn't there before.
No.
Of course not. Like my keys were not in my back pocket the whole time.
No.
He put them there.
He put them there.
I don't feel comfortable with St. Anthony coming so close to my ass.
All I can think of is like, you know what?
Drill,
After
baby,
St.
There's that drill baby.
There we go.
That's
There we go.
it is. Yeah, that felt a little forced though.
Yeah,
I was going to wait till Lee's next podcast. Oh, that's brilliant. Sorry.
drop that one right in the middle of a Gumby rant, and then he'll be totally confused.
Does he listen to the podcast? He doesn't.
I have no idea.
No?
I have no idea.
Well, there's only one way to find
All
out.
right, so I think we're pretty much finished with this.
Miracles are bullshit.
Miracles
everybody.
are bullshit. There's some links. I should be able to provide the links
Well,
in
they
the show
think like
notes.
the virgin birth. Christians think that that's a miracle.
See, but yeah,
that's only if it's a thing.
Except to us,
It's just a young teenager lying.
yeah,
about,
that's right.
About
Like there's
what
a
really
natural
happened.
explanation.
Yes.
So I've got a link here to David Hume's of miracles argument, which basically destroys the entire concept of miracles. So I'll provide that during the in the show notes.
Okay.
Let's do some outro stuff. Let's do some music, Dave.
Oh, you think so?
I would hope so. Cool. This is music. Thanks, Rob and Nathan, our patrons, are still our only two patrons. Come
You guys
on,
are
folks.
awesome. We
The
need
more support we get, the better we can do. Well, no. That's a lie. But it makes...
Don't promise shit you can't deliver.
It takes less money out of my pocket to make this show happen.
But if we get more patrons, we will try really, really hard.
Better guests.
Yes, that's right. We'll try
No.
really, really hard.
We had a
No,
good
no
guest.
better guests. We've got
We've
a
got some
great
really good
lineup
guests.
the next few
We've
weeks.
had a really good lineup.
We've got even more.
And it's coming up.
Yeah, we've got
It's
even
been
more.
awesome.
Okay, so we'll record another half hour for the patrons. You can get that bonus content by becoming a patron at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast. Patrons get a full ad-free episodes the day before the regular feed, including the music portion, which apparently lots of people really appreciate. I know some people, yeah, so there. Splitting the episodes makes it tough to include all the music in both halves, but I include it in the Patreon feed. If you want to join us for the next live broadcast, follow us on Spreaker. Just enter Brainstorm Podcast into the Spreaker search bar, or you can go to our website, brainstormblog.net, and check out the live show and the upcoming events page. There are some upcoming conferences in Canada. There's the annual non-conference this year in Niagara Falls on August 13th. There's the AB Secular Conference on September 15th. The non-conference is live streaming for people who can't make it. Check out the website. I'll post a link to the Facebook page. I'm sure they have a link to the website there. It $19 for live streaming if you can't get to Niagara Falls. Remember to rate us and write a review on iTunes and Stitcher, and always hit the subscribe button. The more people who subscribe on iTunes, the easier it is to find us. Remember to rate. Oh yeah, I already read that. God damn it. Thanks, Dave, for our intro music. Thanks to Alex Capper Murdoch for the voiceover for the intro and some of our ads. And thank you to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at aloststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info page on our website, brainstormblog.net. You can get our gear at cafepress.ca/brainstormpodcastgear, and you can email us at mail@brainstormblog.net. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks when we have Callie Wright from the Gaytheist Manifesto podcast on to answer all our ignorant questions about trans people. I'm sorry, Callie. Thanks, and have a good one.
Thank you.
Wanted to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interaction sometimes with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Corey, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.